Hi everyone, it's Morgan and Firefly. Today I have for you highlights from the last 2 days of our latest Blueprince demo adventure. We will be returning to the shelter as I have not forgotten about the safe there. There's also a few new rooms for you to see. Third day, again, extra steps, extra gems, and our extra 1 money. And we're off to see what we can find today and how the house can trick us this time. Furnace wants to see us again, but I don't think we'll be doing that. Dark room's perfect because we are nearby the utility closet. This time I did just turn it off straight away, and I want to test something because normally you have to walk into it so it turns off, walk back out, which costs you 2 steps to then go to the utility closet. So I am wondering if I turn it back on now, will it still trip when I walk in, or is that a way to save a couple steps ahead of time if we can get the utility closet first? So now it's on and we walk in and it stays on. Okay, so it's worth turning it off ahead of drafting it, because then you don't have to walk in and out, a couple steps, even though we've been really good on steps with the orchard and the dinners. Never know how much backtracking you may need to do, so any saving is good. Again, experiments early on would be good. See what we can get. Whenever you draft a sharpened room, whenever you draw a red room, lose 10 steps, lose 5 steps, and then, or immediately, a small chest, gain 1 key, 1 gem, or 1 gold. Spread dirt on the driveway. I assume that's for digging. Now, we haven't got any shops and it's quite early, so I think that one's pretty good. And then we just gain 1 of the things, also sounds good. Courtyard has a chest for rats, but we're actually quite high up, so not sure I want to gamble, especially last time, a couple times I did that, there was a sledgehammer immediately after, so I'm gonna let this one sit for a little bit. Okay, we get a closet off a hallway. So I feel pretty good about that upgrade choice. And the sleep mask gains us steps. Here's the garage finally. Can open it up. We've not seen the outside rooms for a while. But this time we don't have the car keys to get in the car. So unfortunately that will not be happening. Well, maybe I still find them, but so far we either get the garage or we get the car keys. So I've almost always picked the tool shed. I think the only other thing I picked was the shelter. I mean, tool shed again, good, tools good, but I think it's time to start looking into what's in those other rooms. We either have dig box, which again, we do not have a shovel, and I'm not sure we're gonna find one again, can never be sure. This hovel thing, special from us, cost steps instead of gems. I do wonder how worth it is. Like, what is the exchange rate? Well, we do have gems. While we do have gems, we also tend to get a lot of steps now between the fact that we start with extra and then we can find fruit or buy things in the kitchen and we get the dinner. So that might be interesting to explore just to see how warped it is. It's just someone's underground lair where they spend nights. There is something to read. Mrs. Babbage wanted you to inform the groundskeeper that it is expected that the grass in the cloister be kept cut and the trees trimmed. I have a feeling he may have forgotten how to open up the cloister wall again. I swear I have to explain this every week to him. If you happen to see him on Friday, please give him the attached sketch. If that doesn't help, nothing will. Cloister grounds access. While face to face with the angel, press the base of the 2 pillars on either side of you. The grass here must be cut each week. So we had the cloister yesterday, and today we learn, hey, there's a secret way to access... Well, we read the groundskeeper's journal where he did admit he didn't remember how to access the area, but because he didn't remember, he didn't leave the instructions. So now we have the instructions that we previously knew existed. But now we have to make it to the cloister again to see what that will even give us. And I spy a little gas valve. So we're 3 out of 4. I do wonder who stays here. It's an interesting room setup because yes, it appears someone has a bed and like area to cook in and stuff like that. But there are other servants who clearly live inside the house because they have rooms. And we can open the gate. We already know what that does, so we can come back down. Which we might do because from the garage there's nothing else we can do. We have to go back to the spare room and hope to make some unlocks here. Now as for permanent additions, looks like there is only room for 1 more. So we know about that locked off door on the way to the orchard and the gemstone cavern, so maybe that's it. Or maybe it's something else. But yeah, it looks like there are 4 of those things to place, at least in the demo. Now that we have 5 keys, I think I can use one to open this. And we get a key bag anyway. Now the gems are not so useful since we've switched to steps. We do know about the existence of the laundry room, where we can swap currencies, so in that case, when you no longer need your gems, you can transfer them to something else, assuming you have more of the gems than you had of that other thing. Okay, so commissary costs 1 gem, but now it costs 3 steps. So if that's consistent, then it's 3 steps for 1 gem. We don't have any money, but it will trigger the experiment. Okay, I think there is a bug because it says I already have the magnifying glass, but I don't. So that's broken. Hopefully can be fixed before the full game releases. But yeah, I don't have money for anything else in here. So yeah, exchanging steps for rooms works, but you have to be a lot more careful about what you're doing with your steps. And we have a new room, servants' quarters, And that's one key for each bedroom in your house. Now we've only got 2, and this is also a bedroom from the coloring, so we might get 3 keys from that. And since it's a new room, we're taking it. Even though, yes, it takes more of our steps. We get 4. We have 4 bedrooms somehow. But we can also see all the rooms here. We know about the guest bedroom, the nursery, the bank room, and the boudoir. But here it also lists Her Ladyship's chamber and the master bedroom, which are not rooms we have seen. So, something to look out for. Hartley. I know we spoke often of this day, and I don't think there's anything I can say of the past 40 years that I haven't already attempted to tell you in numerous times in the past. Half-stated gratitude always interrupted with tactful and polite repudiations from you. I had always known this final letter could give me the perfect opportunity to finally express myself uninterrupted by you and unfettered by social graces, but I don't feel the inclination to say aloud what has always been unsaid between us. With my passing, I release you from your post. Are you done? You're out. Firefly decided she's had enough for today, so it's just us now. With my passing, I release you from your posts and service to the Sinclair family and implore you to live the remainder of your years on your own terms, as scary and unfamiliar of a concept as that might be to you. Besides, I think a more junior valet would be better situated to meet the needs of young Master Simon. To that end, if you wish, you may stay on long enough to oversee the training and establishment of your successor in their post. But as soon as he or she has the lay of the land, my instructions for you to quit must be satisfied. Ignoring what I imagine your objections might be after reading this, I have decided to leave the lake house in Trinsdale to you and your family. My lawyers have all the details of the gift and will be contacting you shortly about the particulars. For the past 4 decades you have served willingly as a subject and victim to many of my whims, games, and riddles, and so rest assured, unlike my nephew, you will not be put to yet another challenge to prove yourself worthy in this matter. The house is yours without strings or stipulations. I had for a time gleefully entertained the notion of employing Anne as the house manager of your new residence, but I knew the humor of such a prank would be entirely lost on you, to say nothing of her. Until we meet again, my friend, Herbert. It's just a nice note he was living for one of his servants, and I guess leaving something in the will. Not sure if there is any secret information to take from here. It might just be some lore. Oh, and there's another thing to read. Mr. Ruta? Mrs. Babbage has told me that you will be overseeing network maintenance over the next few weeks while I will be gone, and I apologize in advance for the extra workload. I believe I will be back in Reddington by the middle of February, but even that is not a certainty. Either way, I do not anticipate there will be any major issues while I'm gone, as the difficulties we were having last month with the terminal connections seem to be resolved. If there is an emergency and you find yourself having to enter the central server site, I have set you up with a temporary admin key to allow you access to the network administrator controls. Admin key, first 4 letters of your last name, followed by first initial. The first and 5th character should be capitalized. If you have any questions, please let me know in the next few days before departure. Randolph. Okay, so there's some password to some central server. Now obviously that likely refers to the computer terminals we have around here, so First photos of the last, so this is his name, but we don't know his initial right now. Maybe there's, well, maybe likely there's another place to find this information. So it would be something R-U-O-T, and then the first and last character are capitalized. Well, if we learn what his first name is and where to put this password in, maybe in the terminals when they ask for password you can enter special password, something else happens, then we can use it. Okay, this one requires a boiler room, which the machine in the laboratory also requires, but we've not seen. And she's back. Yep. Couldn't stay away. So this will be the end, as that's our last door and none of those rooms will let us pass. And we're gonna end in the planetarium, so at least on day 4 we have a little star boost. Today, Mount Holly is a sizable inn with 5 bedrooms. That explains the issue I thought I had in the servants' quarter, where I didn't know why I was getting a 4th key, but turns out the hovel is a bedroom, and I was talking about how someone lives here because they have a bed and all that stuff. So yes, it is a bedroom even if it's outside the house. Last day for this run. Again, we have extra of our steps, gems and money. So far we haven't seen any mechanic that lets us start with keys, so I wonder if that's a thing. And let's take the outside room as well. Okay, continuing with explorations, we've seen this tool set plenty, we've had tools. I don't remember if we had the root cellar, but it's mostly about dig spots. I mean, there might be something there as well. The shelter. Now we've seen the shelter, but I remember there is a safe in the shelter that requires a date and time, and we know roughly what date it is because we know it's November and it's after the 7th. So roughly, I assume 7th is about where like it starts, is maybe day 1 or something like that. And then there's a clock outside the house so we can check what time it is. So I think I'm gonna pick the shelter and see if we can open that, because that would lead us to another red letter we can read and get more information about the backstory of the game. Just gonna quickly turn around to check the time. We haven't been here for a while. We have this radiation monitor. I'm not sure if it changed in any way. Very low. And the time log safe can be accessed by setting an unlock date and time. You can use any date and time as long as it's at least 1 hour in the future. Once unlocked, the time log safe will remain open for 4 hours. Okay, I'm going to assume the 7th is the first day, because that's the date, like the furthest date we see, and it refers specifically to us being here in the mansion. Like, it's the message from Mrs. Babbage to us on the network, in like the service like the staff announcements. So if we start on the 7th, that's day 1, so it's 8, 9 and 10th today. So it's November, and let's say it's the 10th, and outside it said it was 20 past 8, which means it has to be an hour ahead, so it has to be at least 10 a.m. because we can't set half hours, so it's already too close to 9 and a.m. Confirm. Okay, well now we have to basically go stand outside and watching the clock to see what time it is. We'll see whether the time for it to open. I assume this is particularly set up to stop you just brute forcing it, because you have to wait for at least an in-game hour to see whether you have the date and time right. So yes, here you can say it says Sunday, November 7, and it's a message for us. Now, it might not be the first date we're here. It might be like it's the day before, or like it's actually the 15th, but that is the furthest date I have that indicates we're here this month, so at least we know it's November. So I'm willing to use that as base. And now I'm gonna go stand outside and watch the clock and then come back when it's ready. Bringing you back as the clock strikes 10, and let's see if we've opened that safe. If we haven't, I might just try the next time over, so the 11th, in case the 7th is like the day before we got here. But if that's not it, well, if that's not it, then it doesn't matter because it is it. Okay, so we can confirm the 7th of November is the first day we are on the estate, and use that to then offset enough time based on whichever day you're on. And we have yet another red letter. Dear Uncle, the disappearance of my cousin Mary has long sat unfavorably with me and my father, and I will freely admit to you that the chilly airs of indifference you may have felt in my presence can be attributed entirely to the suspicions that I have harbored for these past years. Suspicions entirely aimed at yourself. And while I have never had the opportunity to prove it, I felt very strongly that you had some deeper involvement in those events 6 years ago. The circulating rumors of these months did nothing but further reinforce my conviction in this fact. Those of us that are once bitten and are twice shy, and I am aware of the cost my aggressively aloof behavior has had on the social standing of our family. I do not apologize for my actions, though I am now willing to admit that the conclusions I reached may have been flawed. Last week, I had a confidential conversation with one of our mutual acquaintances, a conversation that has shed more light on this mystery than all of my father's countless fruitless inquiries over the years. I now have reason to believe that you are in fact responsible for smuggling my cousin under the cover of night across the red border to the southern seafront, and I believe this may have occurred in September, a full 7 months after she was reported missing, a date that coincides not with her public disappearance in February, but instead with the notable theft of the Ruby Crown. If the Blackwater insurgents were in fact responsible for the heist, as some have claimed, I believe this scenario entirely plausible, and the fact that 2 of the Crown's 8 rubies have now surfaced has given me renewed optimism that she is still alive, safe, and finally free. Perhaps my willingness to accept such a sensational story betrays my own desperation for answers, desperations for hope, and desperations for a narrative in which you are not the villain. In that distant land we all dream of, the land where the strangling crimson curtains draped across our sky are pulled back, and the windows and shutters of discontent flung wide open. In that distant land I pray one day to find our Marion safe, happy and absolved. Courtney. well, this is more to the story of what's happening with his family, especially what's happening with our mother, Mary, or otherwise known as Marion Marigold. So she disappeared, and then we read, yes, that the crown was the crown was stolen from like the royal exhibit palace somewhere. Now, in this shelter, there's also this note which talks about, yes, someone hiding in the shelter and the Red Guard is coming. So it's possible that she was here, that she was hiding here before she was smuggled away. It also, again, mentions the dark water, the Blackwater insurgency, yes, so we talked about it because it appears in the premonitions, right? It's all some sort of messaging in the premonitions that touches on those concepts without directly saying those things. And again, they mention like the crown, like they're being strangled by the crimson curtains as if living under the royal family is really tough, which is, it's interesting because obviously this is a rich family. The uncle is a baron, which is a title that would usually be meant that they are favored by the crown, like that their family is favored because they're being given titles by the crown, and yet a lot of them seem to be not happy, obviously, including our mother, who was involved with people conspiring against the crown and stuff like that. And, well, one of the letters does accuse the uncle of hiding her true fate and the fact that trying to sweep the whole situation under the rug in order to appease the royal family. It seems from then the other letter we find that the Herbert indeed supported Marion and what she was doing. So it's interesting that they're kind of in the system, like they're in the favorable position with the crown, but at the same time a lot of them don't think it's a good thing, good place to be. Like they want to escape to another land, country, kingdom, but it's not easy for them to do. It doesn't sound like you can just leave the country and go somewhere else if you're not happy. You're just being forced to be here. Again, we have no idea about like what this country is that we're supposed to be in and what the laws are and rules, but on the first glance the family appears to be well off. He has a big mansion, he has some sort of company that is making a lot of money, but on the other hand they all seem to be struggling under this monarchy. So there is some sort of political intrigue happening under the surface. And now we're off to explore some more rooms and see if we can find anything new today. We get a small coin purse. Each time you collect 3 gold, earn an additional 1 in interest. Got the garage again, just in case we find the car keys later. And today in the observatory, we get Southern Cross. Rooms with 4 doors are more common today. Haven't had this before, but that sounds like a good one for not getting stuck too much. Although those rooms can be expensive. There we go, the rotunda. Cost 3 gems, or we can pay half our steps. I think no, we just go for the dining room. And because we have shelter today, the dark room is in a good state straight away. And we get a lockpick kit. Now, I just drafted the Great Hall right before, so I'm gonna see if I can lockpick it. Well, I can lockpick the dead end. And this one. Not this one. That's the reward room. Okay, well, at least we know where everything is, because this side already has the dead end and the door leading to what would be a door, but it's blocked off. So we know this is likely the reward room on this side. And we know this is a dead end, so this choice is between access to the door and the reward. So when we have a key, we can use it here. So let's just do this and go back, have our dinner. Oh, actually, we have the shelter, so we don't lose the steps. This is the most amazing shelter draft situation, because yes, we get a 4-door room, even though we get to only use 2, but that's still fine. And we didn't lose half the steps. Pretty good. We could still go back for dinner, but let's first explore a little bit on the top left. Assuming we can open the doors. We cannot right now. Not here. Oh, we get the broken lever again. Don't need it, but we'll take it. Now, with that all being locked, our only choice now is all the way back down to the passageway and try to get out of here. Or get the commissary so we can maybe buy a key, or the locksmith. Hi. Well, that's unfortunate, because we can't afford the cloister. And those rooms are not going to get us anything. Like, we need a key, and there isn't one. Let's therefore go to my most hated room to end this run for good. Yes, unfortunately our lockpick failed, so despite having door opportunities up here still, we could not. Today just west facing villa. Now we had an amazing save with the shelter into the weight room, because that was our 3rd red room, and therefore we didn't lose half our steps. So that was really good. Something to maybe remember for the future. You know, don't just take any red room, wait for the really bad ones to appear while you're still sheltered. And we did open the safe in the shelter, so we now know that the game starts on November 7th. Unfortunately, we got ended on lack of keys, the lockpick not functioning, and then the last door we had opened to maybe do extra exploration. We just ended up with a furnace, and like there wasn't any other option that could have saved us there. Well, everything was a dead end or faced into the wall. So just a small run with not too much to end this time. Now, the main thing what happened was that we got the observatory with 4 stars, which caused the rooms with 4 doors to appear more often. Thanks for joining us on yet another Blueprince adventure. While I'm still hungry to see more of this game, we might be slowly reaching the extent of what we can see in the demo. I have a few more guide videos that I want to put together and release, but if I keep having the itch to play this more, I would likely put those together as a much more condensed highlight video, without necessarily keeping the run and day continuous format. However, I will definitely be playing Blueprince as soon as the whole game releases, and you can expect full videos about it again. See you on another adventure very soon.